I'm Jim Winkler with the National Religious Campaign Against Torture, a broad coalition, interfaith coalition of groups that are dedicated to the closure of Guantanamo and the end of torture by this nation. This occasion today provides us an opportunity as a nation to reflect on our government's shameful torture policies and to consider safeguards to ensure our government will never again torture a child of God. Guantanamo stands as an international symbol of our nation's darkest days. Within weeks of the arrival of the first prisoners at Guantanamo 11 years ago today, the government declared these prisoners did not enjoy the protections of the Geneva Conventions, and the prison soon developed a legacy for torture and mistreatment of detainees. As a nation, we cannot put that shameful legacy behind us, nor ensure that U.S.-sponsored torture occurs again until we shutter the prison doors forever. Torture is wrong without exception. It violates the teachings of all the world's religions. Our nation's leaders profess to be religious people. Torture is illegal, immoral, and unwise. It damages both the tortured and the torturers. It breaks human beings. As a person of faith, I am saddened that President Obama has not followed through on his promise made 4 years ago to close Guantanamo, a symbol of U.S.-sponsored torture. The more than 300 religious organizations that belong to the National Religious Campaign Against Torture in unity affirm the need to close Guantanamo. Though President Obama banned torture upon taking office, the prison remains open, and some politicians and candidates for office still advocate torture as a meaningful means of interrogation. The continued operation of this prison raises the worry that the legacy of government-approved torture may outlast the Obama administration. And for the United States to be an effective global leader, it must condemn its own past use of torture and close Guantanamo. We must fully investigate who was tortured, why they were tortured, what techniques were used on them, who was responsible for torturing them, who authorized the torture, and what steps have to be taken to ensure we will never use torture again.
Yes.
We call for a release of the Senate Intelligence Committee report so that the public can learn what the government did in its name. Torture doesn't work. Professional interrogators from the armed services, the CIA, the FBI say they would not use torture because it is an unreliable means to acquire information. Using torture destroys our moral credibility, and it serves as a recruiting tool for those who oppose our nation, and it further endangers our troops. U.S.-sponsored torture has cost innumerable lives of both American soldiers and civilians. It has inspired extremists to commit acts of terror against this nation. It has cost us dearly. Torture does not make us safer, it increases our vulnerability. As a stark symbol of this nation's willingness to abandon our principles and commitment to the rule of law, the prison at Guantanamo is a stain on our image and reputation. Even as recently as 2011, when 3 American hikers were imprisoned in Iran and finally released, they reported that their captors used the treatment of prisoners at and the continued operation of Guantanamo as a justification for their imprisonment and abuse. Now, friends, today we're going to march, and I look forward to that march. I also want to invite you to come at 2:30 to the interfaith prayer service that will take place at New York Avenue Presbyterian Church at the corner of New York Avenue and H Street. Jewish, Catholic, Protestant, and Muslim leaders will describe why each of our traditions oppose torture. And U.S. Army Captain Jason Wright, an Army lawyer who was appointed to defend Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, will describe why torture denies justice. So I invite you to join us at this prayer service, and thank you for being here today.